Bismillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. So we will continue our React class. Okay, so yesterday we spoke about state, right? So we spoke about useState and how it is very similar to props, right? So this is like the memory of the component. Okay, so this component has some memory or some data associated with that. Okay, and so when you call this useState function, that will return you an array which has two values. The first value will be the data, the second value will be the function to modify the data. Okay, so since this is a special variable, right, you can't modify directly, you can't mutate it directly. Okay, rather you have to use this function to modify. Okay, and if you try to modify that directly, then you will get errors, or your code will not perform in the normal way. Okay, and this is very similar to props, right? Props as well, we can't mutate the props, okay, which will give to error. And the thing about the state variables is that whenever that changes, the component will re-render. Okay, very similar to props. Type. Okay, and today inshallah we'll speak about use effect. Okay, but before going there, let me just show you how we can build a simple form using this. Okay, so currently let me just take this. Okay, instead of having a division here, let me have an input element. Okay, in which I can enter my name. Okay, type. So there is an input element. Okay, and this input element has the value property, right? In HTML you would have studied this, right? Input has a value property. Okay, and that has to be this name, right? Type. And the reason why I am giving like this is because we are going to control this input component. Okay, let me just complete this and then I will say. Okay, let me say there's an on change event handler. So handle name change. So let me type this handle name change. Okay, set name e dot target dot value. So the e will come here. Okay, so what I have written here, I have an input component here, and the value of the input component will be name. So whatever the name is, that will be the value of the input component. And whenever I change the value, right, I mean in the UI, in the screen, if I click on this input element and if I change that value, type something, this function will be called. Okay, this is an event handler, right? You did then JavaScript DOM exercise, right? You can attach event handlers, right? So I'm attaching an on change event handler for this input. So whenever the value changes, in the sense that whenever the user types something, then this function will be called. Okay, and in that function what I'm doing is I'm taking care of, I'm making use of that e variable, right? You will get an parameter, right, which will contain details about that event, right? Where it came from, what is the new value, and all those things, right? So how do we access that value? New value e dot target dot value. So this is the new value. Okay, so I am going to set that new value as my name variable here. Okay, so set name function, which is this. So you understand this? Whenever I type something, what happens is, whenever I type something, this function will be called, and that function sets the name to the new value. So this will update. Okay, name will be updated, and then I will be able to see the value here. Okay, let me show you what's happening here. You go to localhost 3000. Says typecon. Okay, I have to start the server. So I have one input there, right? So let me just bring that to the center. Okay, so طيب. So I have an input box here, okay. Which one here? Yeah, we'll come back to that. We'll speak about how to add styles, but for the time being, just neglect that, okay. So here what we have an input box, right? And that has a default value y, because I have kept the value to name, and that name has a default value of y, okay. That is why I am seeing that here, okay. Type. Now if I click on backspace, okay, you can see it's deleting actually as I click on backspace, and as I type writer, the value is changing here, writer. Okay, everything works normal, right? Like a normal input should, right? But if you see, it's React actually, right? It's not a normal input element, rather we are doing the React way, okay? And what's happening is, whenever I type something, this function will be called, and that function is going to use this function, okay, set name function, to update the value, okay, e.target.value, right? And since that's updated, this entire thing will re-render, so the value is updated on the screen here. As I type, it's updating here as well, right? On the other hand, see, if I don't have the event listener, right, let me do one thing here. I'm just going to take out this code, okay. If you see, there's a function here, but I'm not using it here, okay. There's no event handler for this right now, but it has a value here set, okay. Now if I type here, right, see, nothing happens actually. Yes, I'm clicking on backspacing. See, you can even see some flickering there actually. I'm typing something actually, but nothing happens. It's not changing. The reason is because this input component, right, it is completely controlled, that the value of that input component is completely controlled by this variable, okay. So as long as we don't change this value, it won't reflect here actually, okay. But still, this event handler will be fired actually. Let me show in a different way. So here I have having the event handler, right. So instead of setting that, right, I'll do one thing. I'll just say, okay, let me console.log, okay. Console.log e.target.value, okay. So now in this case, what I'm saying is, whenever some change happens, I'm just going to console.log it, okay. I'm not going to set it now, rather I'm just going to console.log, okay. Now let's see. See, right now I'm clicking on what? I'm clicking on backspace actually, but nothing happens for the input element. But if you check the console, right, okay, let me bring this to the side. If you look at the console here, look at what happened here. See, as I change, right, see what's happening. So whenever I change something, right, the new value, I'm able to access the new value, okay, e.target value, that's a new value, okay, and that's being printed to the console, okay. But as for the input element here, right, that is still the same, okay. And the reason is because that is completely controlled by this component, this value here, this variable here, and I'm not changing that variable here, okay. That's the reason why this you don't see that change on the input element here, okay. So if you want the change to happen in the input element as well, then you have to set it here, okay. You have to use that, and you have to set the new value, okay. Type e.target.value. So in this case, you are making the circle full, right. You are defining that the value should depend on this variable here, name. And whenever we type something on the using the keyboard or in the user interface, we are handling that event, and we are taking the new value and we are setting it, okay. So you are making the circle full, okay. So this name will be updated whenever you type something. This name is going to be updated, okay. And as that updates, the entire comment will re-render. So you are seeing the new value here, okay, in this case, okay. Now okay. Yes. Yes, you just have to type actually, but whenever you type right, that it's going to be fired actually, yeah. But that's not a big deal, like that's not going to hurt you, bro. Like actually that's true, like sometimes you may think like that, like you may write some code which runs too often and it does some task which is very tough, but you may feel that why it's doing this much heavy task. But for computer it's nothing, right? For us it's something tough, but for it it's a very easy thing, okay? So it's not going to hurt you. No, it is purposely defined in this way actually. This is what gives you the flexibility actually. This is a control component, the same form, right? You can do in a different way actually. This is a no, it's a very basic thing actually. You don't have to remember actually. As you do a lot of practice, right, it will become easy for you. So okay, so this is a controlled input component, okay. And the reason why this type of like approach is there in React, because this is very useful actually. It's more powerful than the native normal HTML approach. In fact, I can do the same thing, okay, like in the normal HTML way. That's also possible, okay. In that case, what do we do? Like okay, one minute. Okay, let me do one thing here. Let me have a button here, okay. Let me have a button here, and when I click on that button, okay, on click, I'm going to do what? I'm going to greet, okay. Okay, greet. So that's the function called greet. Const greet. What that function do? That function will alert, okay. That will show the alert pop. So let me have a template tool there. Assalamu alaikum. Name, okay. So whenever I click on that, it's going to greet me with the current name, whatever name is there, okay. So buttons, I have to give some value to that, right? Name to the button. Send salam. Okay, or let's say keep a greet. So we have greet button here. Now if you see, the name is empty, right? So it does not say anything. But if I say, see, Assalamu alaikum emoji, okay. So this is setup that we have, okay. So here what we are doing is we are controlling this input component, okay. This is a controlled input component. I can do the same thing in the normal way, okay. The traditional HTML way, what we can do is I can have input button there, okay. And what I can do is I can have a ref, okay. Okay, but I think I don't have to go into this actually. It's kind of a bit advanced concept for the time being. So what I'm saying is we can do like this, okay. This is the controlled input approach, in which you do like this, okay. You have variable there, and whenever you want to change that, right, you call this function and then you set it like this, okay. So that's a circle actually, okay. And it has one advantage, which is you have one variable there, okay. So you just have to refer to that variable, okay, whenever you want to use that actually. Like in this component, right, what I'm saying is I want to know what is there in that input component, right. So I can just use this variable right now. See, what I'm saying is in this approach, right, in this setup, if I want to use the value of that input component, right, I can just use this variable directly, right. Simple as that, right, like I'm doing here. But if you don't do in this approach, right, if you keep a normal input element there, let me have something here, normal HTML input element, okay. So now you see here, okay, just neglect this, okay. If you see here, right, I am now able to type here, okay, type something, I'm able to type whatever I will type, and the value is changing there as well. But if I click on greet, right, nothing happens, okay, because this input component is not connected to the variable anymore. Okay, this is a normal input, HTML input, right? But how will I get the value of that? Can you understand? When I so when I click on greet, right, my need is that I want to take whatever value that is present there and I want to use here. Okay, so how can I do it now? There's another approach actually. You can use a ref for that. Okay, there's something called a ref. Okay, that is the that is the normal approach which you did in JavaScript. Okay, let me just show you. Okay, just to okay, I think it's a very good example. I was saying, right, React is completely different from the DOM manipulation thing that you did before, right? It's a different approach, right? Let me demonstrate that now. Okay, so let me create a ref here. Okay, so input ref is equal to use ref. Sorry, create ref. So now here name is equal to ref dot current dot recording is there, yeah. Now see here in this approach, okay, what is the error? Ref is not defined. Okay, sorry, input ref. Okay, now what I have set up now is that this is a normal element. Okay, input element. I just have attached one extra thing there. Let me come back to it. But here if you see, if I type something and click on greet button, right, I'm able to get that value here. Okay, but if you look at the approach that we are doing here, right, what I'm doing is I'm using something called ref. Okay, ref is nothing but it's a way to query it actually. Okay, yes. What this will do is that, see, React create ref, right? It's a reference actually. Okay, so it will give you this variable, and if you can attach this variable to whichever element that you want. Okay, so I have attached this to the input element here. So input.current ref, right, input.current will give me the DOM node actually. You know the DOM node, right, which has all the properties: value, inner HTML, class list, set attribute, right? So this will give me the entire DOM node actually, and from there I'm accessing the value. So isn't this the old approach? This is the old approach, right? Like, can you imagine the same thing, same app in the old approach? Okay, so you have input there, and when I type, the user side type something, and when he clicks on the greet button, what you will do? You will first query that element, right, by way of the ID or the class name, right? And then what you will do? You will say you access the value, right? That element dot value, right? You are doing the same thing here as well actually. Okay. So there are only two approaches. Either you have to use the traditional approach like this, okay, which is the imperative approach, or you have to use a declarative approach, okay, which React offers here, which we did before. And this is more convenient actually, okay, and this is what we do in React. Okay, since React is a completely different paradigm, right, we'll be doing in this approach only, and this has a lot of advantages actually. It gives you more convenience than doing like this. And you'll realize, okay, as you do more and more complex stuff, right, you'll realize why this is more convenient than this type of querying approach. Okay, but the thing is, we do like this because it is intentional. It's not something unnecessarily, okay, unnecessary setup. Rather, this is a setup that increases your convenience, and that is very beneficial for you. Okay. So the point that I wanted to show with this is, you don't have to worry about all these things, okay, ref and all these things. The thing is, here in this approach, right, we are using the old imperative thing, but the better thing is to not do like this. Rather, you use the React's approach, okay, declarative approach, in which you have a variable like that, okay, and using that variable you will be controlling the input element, okay, like this. Yeah. Now. Yeah, you can do it, yeah. So, Namahi. That is a feature. That's one of the feature in app. Okay, currently we are building app. Okay, and that app has these widgets. Okay, in which there are different type of widgets. Okay, one widget is the image widget, which I was showing in the video. So what the user can do is he can upload a particular widget, a particular image, and he can set the border, the title, and all those things. Okay, and once you click on that, write a save, and that will be appear on his dashboard. Okay. Yeah. Like that's a project management app, okay, and there's a dashboard feature for that in which he can see all the things in a top load, okay, like images. Likewise, you can also see bar charts, analytics, and all these things. So these are all widgets, small widgets, okay. So I am working on the module which is used to create that, yeah, the drag and drop and rearranging and all these things, yeah. So here the point is, so this is the controlled approach, okay. So we are controlling this input component by way of this name here. So in this case we also have to attach an event listener, and whenever in that event listener, right, we have to use a set name function to change the value, okay. Otherwise, if you don't use this, then even if you type something, the value won't update, okay. For the user, actually, for the user it will be the same value, but if you want to update the user as well, then you have to do like this, okay. And this approach has a lot of advantages actually, and if you don't use this approach, then you have to use a normal uncontrolled approach, okay, or the imperative approach, in which you will be using a ref or something else to proceed further, okay. But this is the normal recommended approach in React, okay. And which one? Yeah. Lot of ways we can use, but this basically, see, basically useState is used to store some data, and to update the data, and whenever the data changes, it will re-render, okay. And you can use it in any way that you want actually. For example, here we are using for forms, right. Yeah, lot of ways are there actually. We'll see, okay. And today, inshallah, we have seen also event handling we have covered today, okay. Same thing, similar thing, except that if you see, these are all camel case, right. But in I think in HTML we don't do camel case actually, right. So what we'll do tomorrow is, inshallah, tomorrow no class, day after tomorrow it's also no class actually. Oh sorry, Saturday, can we please class on Saturday? Okay. نعم أخي. طيب أخي, then okay, we'll keep on Sunday, okay, inshallah. Okay, so Sunday what we'll do is we'll build a small app, inshallah, okay. We'll build a to-do app, okay. Yes, yeah, like I told Abdul yesterday, so I'm telling you now today, like you are a React developer, okay. If someone asks you, tell that you are a React developer. No, I'm serious, in fact, see, this is React. You have to know about props, you have to know about this useState, event handling, and also use effect actually, right, as we saw that, right. So you are almost React developer, so once we cover use effect, right, you'll be a full React developer, inshallah. You will see actually, this is what, no, okay, this is what you will be using most of the times actually, 90%, it's all this actually, using these small building blocks, right, you can build anything complex. Anything complex you take, it is made up of these things only. useState, use effect. Of course, you can say, why not? Now, see, you know HTML, CSS, you also learned Git actually. You know JavaScript actually, and now you're learning React. So what else do you need for this? Yeah, but like if you do 2 to 3 projects in React, right? You can even directly start applying for jobs actually. Yeah, but okay. So inshallah we'll see inshallah Monday. Okay, sorry, not Monday. Sunday we'll build a small to do app. Okay, using these features only. You'll see as normal to do app. You will see how we can perform just by using useState, use effect, and the event handling. Yeah. So we'll. No, Mahi, it's very easy and simple to learn actually, compared to something like Angular, right, which is very complex actually. Even to like do simple tasks, right, you do a lot of unnecessary and heavy task actually. It's very complex and it's not beginner friendly as well. If you learn Angular, right, you'll be confused actually. You won't understand. Also, it's a TypeScript as well actually. You have to use TypeScript by default. But React, it's not like that. It's very simple to understand. It's very intuitive as well. The folder structure and everything. That's why it seems very simple. Huh? Yes. One is enough. Because frameworks, frameworks are concerned, there are a lot actually. There are lots and lots of frameworks, and even if you are applying for a job, right? If you know React and if you know it well, then that is enough for you. Okay, they won't ask about whether you are using Angular or whether you know Vue or something like that. Okay, if the company, right, if they are using React, then if you know React, then that's enough, because you'll be working with React only, right? You're not going to work with Angular or anything, so why would they require you to know Angular as well? Okay, so we'll see inshallah. Okay, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم.